Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It's Thursday, June the 4th. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local market is set to unwind its gains from the previous session, with ASX futures down more than 0.8%. Global markets turned negative and oil prices rose as hostilities in the Middle East reignited, with Iran launching a deadly attack on Kuwait, while the US launched strikes near the Strait of Hormuz. Wall Street's main indices pulled back from record highs, led by losses in tech and financial stocks, and investors took profits, while energy shares tracked the rise in crude. Most of the Mag 7 fell, aside from Meta. However, the AI trade remained intact, with the chips index gaining around 1.5%, with Marvel, Intel, Qualcomm and SanDisk surging. Broadcom missed Wall Street expectations for second quarter revenue as increased competition in the customer semiconductor market hurt gains from its AI chips, sending its shares down more than 11% in extended trade. Asset managers dropped after Switzerland's Partners Group scrapped withdrawals from an $8.6 billion private equity fund. GameStop jumped after the meme stock posted a rise in quarterly revenue and unveiled a $2 billion share buyback program. And Elon Musk's SpaceX has set a $135 price for its shares in its initial public offering. The company is aiming to raise $75 billion, the most ever for an IPO, in a deal that would value the company at $1.75 trillion, immediately placing it among the top 10 of US listed companies. Well, the US-Iran ceasefire is in danger of collapsing following further hostilities overnight, with Iranian missile and drone attacks on Kuwait damaging its airport and killing at least one person and injuring dozens. Iranian media reported the Revolutionary Guards had attacked the headquarters of the US 5th Fleet in Bahrain and a US airbase. US forces carried out strikes in southern Iran, targeting missile launch sites and Iranian boats seeking to lay mines. Well, in data, US service sector activity lifted last month as businesses preemptively placed orders and replenished inventories in anticipation of shortages and higher prices stemming from the war in the Middle East. The ISM survey revealed a measure of prices paid by services businesses jumped to the highest level in nearly 4 years. And in the Fed's latest Beige Book, it reported that energy-related costs tied to the conflict in the Middle East were the primary driver of inflationary pressures, with spillovers into shipping, packaging, groceries and fertiliser. US Treasury yields rose as hostilities in the Middle East increased, with the 2-year up to 4.09%, the 10-year at 4.5%. Australian 3-year government bond yields rose to 4.6%, the 10-year was up to 4.96%. US dollar index up around 0.3%. The Aussie has fallen back to 71.3 US cents. Well, oil prices jumped higher following the latest military action in the Gulf, while President Trump has suggested that the Strait of Hormuz could be closed through to the US Labor Day holiday on the 7th of September, although he said that is unlikely and the situation will resolve itself fairly quickly. Well, Brent crude is currently up around 1% at close to $97 a barrel. Gold has been weighed down by expectations that the war-driven inflation will keep interest rates elevated. Spot gold at around $4,430 an ounce. Copper futures fell 3%. Iron ore down around 1.5% at 105 US a tonne. And Bitcoin has continued its descent down to around 65,000 US dollars. Ahead locally today, April's trade data will be released, and RBA Governor Michelle Bullock is scheduled to appear before the Senate Economics Committee. And on the corporate calendar, Treasury Wine Estates is set to hold an investor day. That is your day ahead. See you again tomorrow.